Welcome to my TED Talk. Today in the media, there are many different portrayals of parents. There's single fathers, single mothers, parents that are married together, divorced, two moms, or two dads. It leads us to wonder and ask the question of what makes a perfect parent? And does that even exist? That is what I'm going to be talking about today. Now, you might ask, how does that have anything to do with me or you? Well, first off, I'm a teenager. So, of course, the funnest thing for me to do is to make a TED Talk about what I think makes a perfect parent. And for you, you might ask, statistically proven that 3.149 billion people who can become parents, around 2.822 billion of them do. That's 90% and 9 out of 10 people. So, if you're out there and you can have kids, this manual that I might be able to give to you might be very helpful. So, before I decided to do anything of my own, of course I looked up, does it even exist? Does the perfect parent exist? And this was a screen grab. Not a single article or single person said there is anything such as a perfect parent or a perfect kid. It's simply a myth. I think the first mistake we're making is generalizing it. What can you do to ensure success with your kids? Forget about the title. There's no such thing as a world's greatest parent, as every child and every parent is different. You might not have been raised the same way you will raise your kids, and vice versa. The thing that works for your next door neighbor or your best friend just might not work for you and your kid. You have to stop generalizing every single relationship that you have and focus on the kid and you yourself as solo and individual people making a bond together. You have to remember who's your audience. It's not your mother, mother-in-law, father, brother, or the kid next door. It's your own kid. It's the person that you are deciding to take care of and raise for the rest of your life. So, here are my 3 basic steps. First, stop generalizing. Your kid is not like every other kid, and you can't be like every other parent. The only way you can be a perfect parent is to understand that there's no such thing as perfect overall, but perfect for your kid. The second step is to listen and learn. Nothing can happen in a relationship if it's one way. You have to really hear your kid and learn who they are as people over time. They might be completely different from you, and you might have to use opposite tactics, or you guys might be one of a kind and be exactly the same, and it just might work out. The biggest misconception and the worst misconception a kid can have is parents just don't understand. Kids cannot comprehend the fact that you were kids once too, and that you just want them to not learn from their own mistakes and learn from yours. No one wants to see their kid get hurt. To be able to offer that experience to your own kid, you have to listen to them. You have to understand that hearing equals talking. No good conversation can come out of you not listening. First, you have to be able to hear each other to actually create a tunnel in which you guys can talk to each other with some meaning behind it. No good conversation can happen when you're not hearing each other. Then you're both just speaking. The third and final step that encompasses all of this is debating is progress. Arguments are meaningless. And what do I mean by this? Why would a parent debate with their kid? The parent should be right. They are the parent. Yes, you might always be right, but you might have to show that to your kid. If you just start screaming at your child all the time or grounding them, they'll never actually learn. The only thing they'll learn is resentment. When debating with your child, you're teaching them how to have an intellectual conversation with an adult and having them finally understand, wow, my parents don't actually hate me and want me to have no social life. They just want me to understand that there are some mistakes that they've made in their childhood that they'd rather just not have for you. Here's a quote that I really love. In short, and this is talking about screaming to your child. In short, it teaches them to fear you rather than to understand their consequences of their actions. Children rely on their parents for learning. If anger and associated regression like shouting is part of what a kid perceives as part of their family, their behavior will reflect that. What this is trying to say is that no good can come from screaming at each other, from grounding or some sort of aggression. The only way your child will learn is if your family and your home is a safe place, somewhere where they can feel like they can make mistakes without being punished and learn. That's how you create a connection, a bond with your child. There's no such thing as perfect. It just doesn't exist. What you need to understand is that there's something close to it. The bond and relationship you can make with your child through these 3 steps of stop generalizing them to be like everyone else. Your kid is not everyone else. To listen, hear, and learn who they are as people, to make that bond with them, and to stop mindlessly screaming at them and try to teach them through words and intellectualism what you are trying to help them in life. By those 3 steps, those small things you can put into life, into every conversation, every day, you and your child might have a much better, stronger bond, and you might be the perfect parent for them. Thank you.